we can fight this aging process tooth and nail. We're only delaying the inevitable, but that delay could lead to some wonderful years of life. I'm not supposed to give this date, but I'm going to give it anyway. So, but don't tell anybody you heard it from me.
What do you see coming down the pipeline this year? GLPs were huge this last year. What are some of the fun things or things you're excited about?
Well, I mean, for Olympia in particular, and some pharmacies are already doing this, but again, we're bringing this out as 503B products. We're looking to bring by mid-March tirzepatide and Lyra Glutide. Lyra Glutide is a daily injection. It's a GLP-1 agonist. It's a daily injection. So that's more of a it's a double-edged sword. So semaglutide is Novo Nordisk is still manufacturing that. Tirzepatide is oh gosh, who does tirzepatide? Mounjaro, Eli Whitney, I believe. Anyway, once they catch up, those are going to go away. Liraglutide, on the other hand, is a medication that the patent's coming to an end, I believe. So we think, and several other pharmacies think, that we'll be able to keep making liraglutide. Now, the downside is liraglutide is a daily injection. Why is that a downside? Because it kind of contradicts everything we just talked about. Because you may have a couple people who have nothing better to do, but you're not going to have a patient that's going to be able to come into your office every single day and get the injection. This is something you're going to send home with them, that they're going to inject at home. Now, that being said, you could still say, hey, I need you to come back once a week because we're going to do your body fat. We're going to give you an IM injection of a lipomino or an energy booster, because when you're on these GLP-1 agonists, one of the side effects could be extreme fatigue. This will help with that. So you can get them back in there, but it's a little tougher because it's a daily. But those we're coming out with. Another big thing, not a new drug, but an old drug that's been added back to the 503B list is NAD. So starting, I'm not supposed to give this date, but I'm going to give it anyway. So, but don't tell anybody you heard it from me. February 1st, Olympia is on target to start offering NAD for office use again. So we've still been able to offer it as a patient specific, but now we'll be able to order it for office use again. February 1st is the target for that. And then farther reaching, we always like to come out with 1 or 2 new IV kits during the year. And like I think I said this at the beginning of the beginning of our call, or it might have been the call I had this morning, and all run together now. But this inflammation, we want to reduce inflammation. So we're looking at different IVs and different medications that'll help reduce inflammation. And then the other thing that we're working on, two other things we're working on for this year is for those of you who really buy into, and you should, because it's great, is the methylation, like methyl B12. We already do methyl B12, but we're adding methylfolate this year. So we're adding an injectable, and it would be IV and IM methylfolate. So you can supplement your folate with that. And
ask a quick dumb question on that, because again, I'm not a provider. Methylfolate, is this the same as methylene blue, or is that a different compound?
No, it's a different compound. Methylene blue is methylene blue. So methylfolate, folate's a B vitamin, and that the biggest thing about that is energy, and it also helps with I believe it's dopamine regulation in the brain. So a lot of people, I've read some, and I don't know if you've heard when Gary Brecka spoke in Austin, and there's a lot of research out there. People who are taking SSRIs for depression have been able to get off of those, or at least cut back their dosage when they started doing methylfolate supplementation. So it helps regulate the brain chemistry to help your mood, help mood regulation. So that's a big one coming out with. And then the other thing, again, this is because I'm in that age group, is circulation. So we're looking at an IV kit to help with circulation, which would be a bunch of some B vitamins and some vasodilating amino acids and things like that that'll help with overall circulation. You have people who, they get to a certain point in their life where they're successful, but now a lot of times you're sitting behind a desk all day. And I know when I sit here, I'm like, oh, you feel terrible after a while. Your butt starts to hurt, your legs get kind of crampy, and you're like, oh, I got to move around. And you notice as you get older, you your extremities get cold when they didn't used to, and that's all due to circulation. So we're working on a circulatory IV kit as well.
That's awesome. I do some consulting for a vascular clinic that does a lot of like peripheral artery disease and stuff. And for those of you guys don't know, when you don't take care of your circulation down the line, it is brutal what happens after that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you get it, especially if you couple that with diabetes, which also hurts your circulation. And I've known people that have to get toes and their feet amputated, and it's just, and the thing is, it's avoidable. It's avoidable. My dad, my dad is 81, and it drives me crazy because his mindset, that generation, the mindset is, it's just part of getting old. Nothing you can do about it. I'm like, that's not true. Like we can fight this aging process tooth and nail. We're only delaying the inevitable, but that delay could lead to some wonderful years of life. And we should never take that for granted.
I think that, I mean, I can go on a whole podcast on this, but what's interesting is to see more Western science and more medical science back up that like, you do have to take care of your body, your mind, your spirit, there's all these things. You can measure these things now. You got some like brain tap guys doing some crazy stuff, but like interesting to see how you can just make your quality of life better, but you have to invest in it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You've got to put the foundation in place, the building blocks. And now that as a world, as a race of human beings, we learn, maybe when my dad was growing up, they didn't really know like, oh yeah, this will help you in the aging process. But the last 50 years or so, it's really come front and center about how can we help people age healthier, live longer, not just longer lives, but still be productive. I mean, who wants to be 90 years old and confined to a wheelchair? That's not living. We want to help people live their lives. I mean, still be able to go out and get around and enjoy themselves. And that's really what Olympia is all about, is that farther reaching quality of life. That makes all the difference in the world.
All right. Well, I want to wrap up and be respectful of your time, but I have a couple of questions I always love to ask people on podcasts. So what is the best book you've read recently?
The best book I've read recently. I go back to Atomic Habits a lot, because I like some of the, when I, especially when I'm going to speak in front of people, I like to reinvigorate my mind with those ideas. So I read a lot of leadership books. Simon Sinek, John Maxwell, Atomic Habits. The last book I've read, I'll be honest with you, the book I'm reading through right now is the Bible. So that's my latest read. Because I'm of the mindset in my life, I don't deserve what I am not deserving of what I have now. It's only through the grace of our Lord that I do. So I'm very big into always giving him props, because that's great. So I would say, we kind of coincide our reading, my wife and I, with what we're doing at church. And right now we're going through the book of Genesis. So it's a little boring at times, but we're going through that. But I think the book that I go back to, like I said, all the time, it's like Atomic Habits. John Maxwell, there's certain chapters like the law. He has a great book, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And each chapter is a different law. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, I remember about the law of momentum. I want to go back and read that. So I can't say I've really in the last year picked up a brand new book. I do have two sitting in my briefcase that people have given me, and I do want to read them, but because I keep going back to these other great reads, I haven't really started a new book in a while.
Well, a couple of things we've been talking about, like, all these different drugs we have out there. There was a study that just came out. It was a secular study though, that was showing that like, if you read a Bible, and it was done non-religious, but if you read the Bible like once or twice a week, didn't do anything. 3 times a week, it started showing like decreases in depression, all these things. And it was just really interesting to see just that habit without getting into the nuances of faith. Like it made an impact. And so I thought that was pretty powerful. And I forgot where that came out of, but it was interesting to see.
Also habits and consistency, the two things that'll change your life.
If you haven't seen it, I think John Maxwell has a leadership Bible. It's a Bible that has a study plan underneath it. Might be something you want to check out there. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you hopping on. Thank you so much. And I'm sure I'll see you at a show here this year. What is Olympia's website, just to make sure I get it right for everyone here?
It is www.olympiapharmacy.com.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey, guys, you can follow Dan Powell on social media. He speaks all over the place. And if you're lucky, you can see him perform sometime. And Dan, thanks for being on the show today.
No problem. Can I give out my email address in case anybody
go for it.
Yep. Yeah. So Dan at olympiapharmacy.com. If you have any questions for me at all, or you're interested in an account or anything, I'll hook you up with the right people here. Anything you want more clarification on, or you want to add to, I would love to hear your feedback. Hearing from you guys and hearing you digest what we talk about, and kind of if it made an impression, good or bad, on you, I want to hear about it.
Awesome. All right, Dan.